Hello and welcome back to another video from Simply MK. My name is Mladen and today we're gonna be reacting to a video from the channel called Faith and Bodybuilding. And the title of the video is Why Evil Exists and God Hitting God? Cliff connectly debates two students. I'm very curious to see what Cliff is going to say about God hitting God and why evil exists. This is an important question for all of us theists, non-theists, whatever kind of person or denomination or whatever you are. This is something that we all ask ourselves. Why is there evil in this world and what is the purpose of suffering? So without further ado, let's jump right into the video.
God, at a certain time in history, used the Jewish people to judge the Canaanites, to judge the Egyptians, and then a few hundred years later, he used the Assyrians and the Babylonians to judge the Jews.
You worship a God that works through people through killing people.
At times, yes.
Okay.
And I hope that you are very angry if someone rapes your sister or if someone harms or destroys someone you love. I hope you are genuinely angry. There is such a thing as righteous indignation over the sex trafficking of children.
And then you kill them?
No, you're angry. And then you have to think through, how am I going to respond? If this guy comes up to him and knifes him, and I say, so what, whatever, I don't love him. If I love him and he comes up and knifes him, I will seek to physically stop him from thrusting the knife in a second time. If I say, I don't care, then I am so self-absorbed that I don't really care about him, I really don't love him. God is angry, not in spite of the fact that he loves us. He's angry because he loves us, and we destroy each other or we destroy ourselves. That's why God is angry.
And to judge those people for not subscribing to because he's God, he is allowed to kill those that he loves. He kills them because he loves them. But they
No,
don't
he doesn't
act.
kill them because he loves them. That's not what I said. Come on, you guys, you're better than that. Think. Listen. Let's go back and forth and have a dialogue. I never said God kills people because he loves them.
Why did he kill them?
Because they destroyed other people.
Why did he care? Why did he not let
Because
them go free?
Because he loves people who get destroyed.
Them.
He judges people who destroy other people. It's that simple.
What does he love? He loves the people that they're destroying. He killed 3,000 of them. It was men, women, children, and neighbors, Cliff.
He killed those people because they had done evil. He judged them.
What evil did they do, Cliff?
This is part of the Old Testament which I'm not too familiar with, so I do not know exact details about why God killed certain people, why God committed genocide, and if God really did any of those things. This is part of the Old Testament, old biblical stories that I'm not fully aware of. However, what Cliff is saying here is that God cares about us as human beings. He cares about our well-being. And for this reason, he is angry that we are hurting each other, that we are not living in a perfect relationship with each other. It is very interesting to see how these students are not taking in what Cliff is saying, but are actually angry towards God and why God did what he did or what he had to do in the Old Testament. I'm not defending God here. I'm not defending humans here. I'm not standing on either side. I'm just observing what's factually in front of me. So let's keep going and see what's gonna happen next.
People began to sacrifice their babies in imitation of the Canaanites, who sacrificed their babies to Moloch, to Baal. And so the Jews began to copy their neighbors, the Canaanites, and began to sacrifice their babies as an act of worship. God judged them for that. Secondly, the Jews, in imitation of the Canaanites, the Midianites, the Hittites, and all the other tites, began to say that if you really want to know God, you have sex with a temple prostitute. God judged the Jews for following the Canaanites' example of temple prostitution and sacrificing babies. And that's why they got judged.
Those are the two reasons they were judged and murdered, or I guess let's use the word killed because that sounds nicer. In the book of Exodus.
That's exactly right. He killed the Canaanites for the same reason.
I have two questions.
Alright, if what is being said is true, then did the Canaanites really deserve to be killed? Did they deserve to be done in by God because of what they did? Murdering their babies or children for the sake to worship a god is not a good cause to murder your child. I mean, this is completely unacceptable. So I think that some form of punishment is definitely deserved here. However, I do not know this part of the Bible that well, so I do not judge, or I do not care to judge this part exactly. Interesting story, and interesting to see how Jewish people copied the Canaanites and did exactly what they shouldn't have done. I understand why God would be angry. Do you?
When was the first record of the Bible? Like the first historical record of Christianity. What date was that?
Okay.
So I just
Talk
like a
more.
date.
What are you looking for?
Just the first record of Christianity. What date?
All right. One of my favorite books in the New Testament is 1 Corinthians.
Is there just a date?
1 Corinthians was written 50, 51, 52 AD, somewhere right around there.
What do you say about the validity of Christianity based on the time frame of other religions? Because in my basic knowledge, I know Hinduism was established about 3,000 years before Christ, or the changeover. So that's 3,000 years of time that religion has been around. We've only been around with Christianity for 2,000 years. That means Hinduism is somewhere around 5,000 years old, and their principles are a lot different than Christianity. What do you believe about the validity of Christianity based on this religion that's much more established than us, than Christianity?
First point is, I never have argued that Jesus Christ is true because faith in him has been around for 2,000 years.
Interesting first point by Cliff. I agree with him, and I just wanted to jump in here and say a little bit of my own thoughts. I don't think that the validity of Jesus is because he has come around 2000 years ago. I think that validity of Jesus comes from the fact that he did amazing things during his lifetime, shared amazing teachings, died a gruesome death, and resurrected from the dead. These are the things that I truly have come to believe in and accept as reality. Not because I think that this is made up, but because I think this was historically accurate data that came through eyewitness accounts. I'm not saying that I can say for sure, yeah, this is exactly what happened, but I have decided to put my faith right there, because Jesus' teachings were just so amazing that I am completely mesmerized by him and the way that he taught. I don't know if it's all true, I do not have evidence behind that, I can only say that I believe in the eyewitness accounts. And this is as far as we can go when it comes to historical knowledge. Do you believe in that? I do not know, and it's okay if you don't. But the matter of the fact is, if you read the New Testament, if you understand it a little bit, you will see that the love, the joy that is spread throughout Jesus' message is unbelievably real and amazing. So if you have a better story than this, let me know in the comments below. These amazing teachings are allowing us to have enlightened sense of understanding of how we should behave and how we should interact with each other. I mean, Jesus went so far as to say, love your enemies. Who in the right mind is gonna say to love your enemies? This is just completely illogical. But without me piling on, let's see what Cliff is going to say next.
Instead, when I look for truth, I really don't care how long or how old the religion is, or a philosophy, or whatever, or an economic system, or whatever.
Yeah.
Truth is not determined by how old is it. Second point, though, that I think really gets to your issue is, the Bible insists that there are going to be a lot of people in heaven who never heard the word Jesus Christ. You're making a great point, which is, God loves us, and he's been reaching out to us for thousands of years. Long before Jesus ever was born, God, by his Spirit, was reaching out, drawing people to himself, and the Old Testament gives us a partial record of that.
In that case, then, what if Hinduism's closer to the teaching of God than Christianity?
Good
What
question.
if Christianity is a more morphed,
Yeah.
humanistic view of
Right.
the basic principles that Hinduism taught?
You bet. Well, there's only one way I know to answer that question. You better read the Vedas, Upanishads, and Bhagavad Gita, and you better read the New Testament Gospels, and you better ask yourself, does the evidence point to the avatars of Hinduism being more reliable, or does the evidence of his life, teachings, death, and resurrection point to Jesus Christ being more reliable? And then you got to make your decision. It's the only way I know for you. You can decide honestly. You got to read this stuff.
Okay.
Cliff here says a fair point. We have to do the hard work and actually do the research ourselves. Only then can we know what kind of teachings Jesus has spread through his work, what kind of teachings that did Muhammad spread through his work, and what kind of teachings did Hinduism spread to their work. I think that the best way that you can decide this is by putting in the work and deciding for yourself after doing the research. I agree with Cliff here completely, because the best way is by your own work, by your own volition. Otherwise, you're just gonna be depending on minds and ideas of other people, which is not good, because we are very naive. We can follow all kinds of weird things without me or anybody else poisoning the well. Do the research yourself and let me know what you think. Which is the most reliable source of history, which is the most reliable source of knowledge, which is the most reliable source of this incredible teaching like love and empathy and whatnot that we should have.
And I can promise you, after reading the Upanishads and Vedas and Bhagavad Gita myself, I cannot put my faith in Hinduism.
Why is that?
Thanks for asking. Can one of you come out here? The stick man, all right. All right. According to Hinduism, this is part of God, this is part of God, right? Everything is part of God, including this, right? That's monism. Monism is the basis of Hinduism, which is everything is one, everything is part of God. Okay, I'm with them so far, but watch. Haul back, hit him as hard as I can. All right? What just happened?
God hit God?
Thank you. We are communicating here. What just happened, according to Hinduism, is part of God just hit part of God, which means there is no basis for justice. There's no basis for ethics. If everything is part of God, that means good is part of God, evil is part of God, apathy is part of God, everything's part of God. It just is. Gandhi understood the fallacy of Hinduism. Gandhi got his understanding that the caste system in India was wrong. Not from Hinduism, obviously. He got it from the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus teaches that there is a being separate from him and me, God the Creator. This gentleman and I are part of God's good creation. And God gave me this hand to respect and be compassionate to this man, not to haul back and hit him. That's why Gandhi fought against the caste system, because he realized the error in Hinduism. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is also partially the reason why I couldn't accept Hinduism to be the truth. The other thing that I couldn't accept is the multiplicity of all kinds of gods that they have. To me, it is just ridiculous that we have such an idea that so many gods have existed, coexisted, and did whatever they did. And this is precisely why I couldn't accept monism to be truth. I mean Hinduism in general. Monism is, to me, completely unacceptable because morality is real. And we have to care about each other. We have to think about each other's well-being. And if we're not doing that, if we are hitting each other, what is the wrongdoing in doing that? God hitting part of God. It is just nonsense. So to me, this is completely unacceptable to a certain degree. Then there's another part. If we are all just part of God, then evil doesn't exist. But the matter of the fact is that evil does exist. So, we cannot only not be part of God, but we have to be individuals created in the image of God. We have to be individuals who are each own persona, each own character that is different from each other. That in itself disproves Hinduism at its core.
That's why, it's one of the main reasons I cannot put my faith in the avatars and buy into monism, which teaches it's all part of God. Because guess what? The rape of a woman is not God raping God. The murder of a person is not God murdering God. And the abuse of an innocent child is not God abusing a child. False. Everything within me says false. My reason, my conscience, my ability to love says, time out, that's wrong. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
God hitting God, that doesn't make sense to you. But in Christianity, it's the exact same thing. The only difference is humans put their own spin on it because they didn't understand that. So they put their own, a son of God hitting a son of God. A son is a human construct. A son does not exist in, you know, the divine mind. A son is when you give birth, you have a son or you have a daughter. So a son hitting a son of God. It's just that human spin on that same basic idea, but yet you decide to believe in that because it's not as foreign to you, because it has its basis in our own human.
When the Bible says that you and I are children of God, they're talking about what we become. We read in John chapter 1. When you put your faith in Christ, you become a child of God. It is not saying that we are literally the offspring of God a Father and God a Mother having sex and we're born. It's not the point.
We're creation of God?
We are created in the likeness of God, in the image of God. That's right. Which means I have a free will. And if I go up to this woman and steal her money, that is me as a human being choosing to pervert the purpose for which God made me, which was to respect her, and it's me choosing to denigrate her by stealing her money. That is evil, and God judges me. He holds me responsible for that. Why? Because he gave me free will.
But so God raping God, you don't buy into. But something kind of like God and another thing kind of like God, if that thing that's kind of like God rapes that other thing that's kind of like God, that's okay?
I don't think that this student is understanding exactly what Cliff is saying, or maybe he's not hearing him right. However, I just want to point out that Hinduism and Monism is a clear difference from Christianity. In Monism, everything is part of God and everything is God. In Christianity, we are created in the God's image. However, what we are creation that is completely independent of each other. So we don't have to depend on each other to exist, but we do have to depend on each other to coexist. What I'm trying to say here is that each one of us is an individual that is worthy of living and being here on this planet. God wanted it to be so, and God wanted us to care for one another. That's why there are moral laws that were imbued in our hearts from the moment we were conceived. Because of these moral laws, because of the consciousness that we have, because of the free will, this all separates Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, and all the other religions completely, because Christianity is unique in this way, where we are presented with the image of God and who God is and why God behaves the way he behaves, especially when we see him in Jesus Christ, when he dies for our own wrongdoings, because he died an innocent person. He didn't do anything wrong, and yet he was convicted of the worst death possible, death on the cross. Why did that happen? Why did we have to see that? Why did he have to go through that? We do not know exactly yet. We do not know if it is all true or not.
That makes
No,
sense.
it's not
that makes,
okay.
But it makes more
But
sense.
because we have free will, no, you see, what the Bible teaches is exactly the way we experience reality, which is, I have a free will. I can love her, I can hate her. I can help her, or I can use her. And you can do the same.
Right, and just like you can do that, God can love you or God can hate you. Because that is a human construct that we apply to the divine mind because we don't understand it. So God naturally has to be like us. It's him in the Bible.
Nope.
His word.
Nope. I am convinced
we understand
that I
man.
can love her, not because I have to, but because I freely choose to. And I begin to realize the only way I can have a free will is if there is more to reality than matter and energy, than complex biochemical reactions. I've got to have a soul, a free will, in order to love her, because I don't have to love her. I can denigrate her. And the only way I can have a free will is if there is some type of God who creates me with a soul and gives me a free will. Why do you have such a problem with God loving you?
Because I think most of the Old Testament is bull, to be honest with you. I think the Gospels are fine. I'm a total Jesus freak. I love Jesus. Love your neighbor, totally. That's awesome. Jesus was a hippie. I think that's great. But the Old Testament has to get in with that. If you're going to buy into Jesus and you're going to buy into the we're going to heaven, you have to buy into all the stories and all the bullshit that came before that.
All right, it's real simple. It's real simple. The word mercy, the word compassion, to describe God is used far more frequently in the Old Testament than it is in the New Testament. And the bloodiest book in the Bible is not in the Old Testament. The bloodiest book, exactly, the bloodiest book in the Bible is in the New Testament. It's the book of Revelation. So the Bible is horribly consistent. God is just and God is loving. God hates evil and he loves to forgive people for their evil. And that's what the cross of Christ is all about. He bled and died on that cross to pay the penalty for human evil. Now just think about your worldview. In your worldview, evil wins.
Alright, the title of this video is kind of misleading because there is nothing here saying why evil exists, so we kind of missed the point here. I'm gonna name my video a bit differently so that you don't get misled as I did. It was still an interesting video. We got to see the difference between Monism or Hinduism and Christianity from Cliff's perspective and from these students' perspective. I think that these students weren't being completely open to hearing the ideas from Cliff, but it is fine. At the end of the day, it is okay that they have their own worldviews and they build their worldviews throughout their lives. They are still young and they have a lot to learn. With that being said, I'm gonna finish this video because it is long as it is and I don't have too much to comment on it. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one. Ciao!